You have no idea what I've had to endure for the past 20 minutes. Now, I know you're thinking, Max, you look tired, but it's clearly only like midday. There's plenty of sun out. Why are you so tired? Many reasons, which I will explain later on in the video. One being because I've been working non-stop since Thursday, and I hate myself. Secondly, is that I tried shooting the entirety of this video. I actually did, except that I kept being interrupted by my neighbor's car, which has the most sensitive car alarm in the universe, or it's possessed by Satan. Either way, it just ruined the video. It was trash. I had to reshoot it, and that's what's happening right now. So forgive me if I looked a little more tired than usual. It's just kind of building on with all of the awful things that have been happening this past week. Aside from that though, if you are also in a never-ending pit of sadness and despair, no bonus points, but welcome to the party. Hello, writerly friends, and welcome back to NaNoWriMo Care Package, where I offer writing advice, inspiration, and I let you know on my own NaNoWriMo ventures. If you missed the previous episode, there should be an annotation in the screen right now. You can click on it and it'll take you straight to it. As for today's video, it will be as always, except with a little bit of a twist, which means it's not going to be the same as always now that I think about it. Regardless of that, I'm going to answer 3 awesome questions today, and then I'm going to let you know on what has been happening with me. And you may want to get tissues, I don't know, it's not a happy update, but that's the way life is, and we're going to power through it. So, without any further ado, let's just start answering today's questions. First question goes a little like this. Max, how would you convince your parents that you're serious about writing? I think that this is a question that everyone has to deal with eventually, unless you have like the best parents in the world, in which case I envied you. And if you have the most awesome parents in the universe, take away 50 points. How dare you? How dare you have better parents than me? With that silliness out of the way, how do I think you would go about doing this? Well, let me tell you how I did it. I ended up going through the process of just showing my parents how much I cared about writing. I took many classes in college. I showed them that I was writing a lot, that I was taking part in writing contests and writing challenges like NaNoWriMo. And my mother eventually realized that this was my passion. It took my father until my first published book to get his mind wrapped around my profession, which should just go to show how parents work. Parents are pretty silly. So as for my recommendation, I would inspire you to do the same. Show them how passionate you are about writing. Yeah, most parents are not open to the idea of their children having such an odd profession. Really, they would just rather all of us be doctors and lawyers, but that's kind of silly. Not all of us are doctors and lawyers. I want you to show them how much you care about writing. Seek to learn more, to take classes, show them that you're writing, and enter literary contests and writing contests. Not only because that's a great way to show them that you're into this, and, getting a first place prize, it's kind of a pretty effective way to show them, hey, I'm pretty talented at this. Not only that, of course, but also if you're seeking to be published traditionally, those awards will actually help you get noticed. I know that this may not be the most exciting answer because it just boils down to work harder, but that's really how you do it. You are passionate about writing, you want to tell stories for a living, you want to write books, then do so, okay? I am going to assume that you're in high school, and that's actually a pretty awesome spot to show people how excited you are about writing, because the younger you start doing this, the better. Take classes, find seminars, just enter contests, do everything in your power to show your parents that you care, that this is what you want to do. And even if they don't care, you're ultimately just benefiting yourself by gaining all of those awards and just by gaining the experience. You have no idea how much it means to just get those books done right now. As I've said a million times, and I will continue saying this, the more you write, the better you get at it. So if you just keep writing right now, regardless of what your parents tell you, because they will tell you many things, and they will try to discourage you, because that's what parents do. Regardless of that, though, you can't let them get in the way of your craft and your passion. Again, I want to remind you that it took my father until my first published book to finally wrap his mind around this. So it's gonna take a little convincing, and that's kind of the way things go. I want you to keep going though. Keep writing, keep finding ways to show how much you care about this medium, okay? I hope this helps. I know it's not the best answer in the world, but it's ultimately what worked for me, okay? Now the next question goes a little like this. Max, what do you do when a project is too vague? Now, I believe that this question is referring to two things, and let's tackle them one by one. In the first part of this question, the person was asking that in the middle of writing, they were not able to find their stories, themes, and moods. Now, as for that, I'm just gonna full disclosure right now. I don't know what those are when I'm in the middle of writing. I don't know what those are until the book is complete. For those of you who have been following my updates, I just recently finished Shoujo's Bizarre Adventure. And I can tell you, now that I finished the book, I can tell you what it is about. I can tell you, I mean, I could tell you, but that would be a bit of a spoiler and I don't want to tell you. But now that I finished the book and reflecting back on all the things I said, I know what the book is about. I know what the themes were revolving around and where the book has been leading from the beginning. Now I can go back through the revision process and adjust all of the messages and the descriptions to echo with this feeling. So as for theme and mood, as always my tip is write the story, and once you're in the revision phase, enhance whatever the message you find that it is. Enhance whatever the message is. English. I know that it's not a very exciting answer, but that's really what has worked for me. Every single one of my books, I come in thinking that the story is about one thing, and when it's over, I realize, oh crap, I'm actually entirely wrong. This story is not about friendship. This story is about coming to terms with who you really are. And that's okay. Stories are supposed to surprise us. If they surprise you as the writer, they will surprise the readers. So that's my answer for the first part. Just finish the story and then find what the story is actually about. Now, as for your second part of your question, which deals with character motivations, because I believe in the answer that you posted, you were saying that you're following your characters, but there doesn't seem to be a central problem. And as for that, I have to once again bring up the fact that not all stories have a central problem. One of my favorite movies that I enjoy because of the large scope of it is the movie Forrest Gump. And that movie has absolutely no central problem. It's merely just we as the audience following Forrest Gump around through history, basically. And that's entertaining on its own. I find that, even now with if you were to look back on the history of your life, what was the one central problem? There are no central problems. I think ultimately there are the problems that we have at hand. And that becomes my main point, actually. If you are uncertain about what your character is looking for, consider what are they looking for right now instead of considering what is their overarching life mission. Consider what do they want right now. I got a question recently from someone and I didn't have a chance to answer it, but it basically boiled down to, hey Max, my story idea revolves around a character coming to terms with the death of their mother. Is this good enough for a story? And of course the answer to that is yes! Not all stories need to be about saving the world or becoming president or, achieving transcendence. Stories can be about reuniting with friends, or traveling the country, or coming to terms with the death of your mother. Just like our lives can be small at times, not all lives are Alexander the Great, and not all lives are Napoleon. Sometimes the things people need are the little stories that turn out to be enormous, like a character dealing with depression, or a character coming to terms with who they've always been. As I've mentioned before, not all stories need to be amazing epics dealing with the fate of the world. Stories can be about one person, their feelings, their thoughts, and their happiness. Is this question too vague? It would be funny though if this question was too vague, huh? As for the other things that you mentioned, I find that a lot of them are just solved during revision. I can tell you right now from the book that I finished that there are a lot of little things that I'm gonna end up changing. I think I've mentioned this in the past, but in my own personal experience, like, half of the revision process, or like half of the work, goes into the first third of the book. Why? Because you are as the writer are discovering the characters. I find that in the first third, my characters tend to be all over the place because I'm discovering who they are. And by the last third of the story, I have them nailed down. I know exactly who they are, and I understand the way they act, the way they speak, and the way they interact with the world. So, as for your characters, such as your protagonist, little vague sister, I recommend you just keep writing, see where it takes you. And once you're done, you will be able to reflect back on that and, through the revision process, fix all of the little things that are out of place. Again, I know that this is not the most exciting answer, but it's really what has worked for me. So that's really all I can offer you. I hope that helps. And kind of funny that the next question happens to be about revision, so let's dive right in. Today's final question goes a little like this. Max, how many revisions would you say it takes to turn a messy first draft into something I can be proud of? Now, before we go anywhere, let me just first clarify that the following is just my experience and what has worked for me. Now, with that disclaimer out of the way, let me just say that I find this question to be a little problematic, because I have found in my experience that it's not just a number of drafts. My stories take multiple drafts, some have taken more, some have taken less. Of course, that being said, I have a bit of a process that I undertake every time. A minimum sort of pass, if you may. Now, of course, if that would make you proud of your story, I can't tell you about that because that's really more on you than me. But I find that after the process that I will define in a moment, I find that by then the story is so clean that I myself can't see any problems with it. And that comes to the point in which other people have to see it. It's not to be proud of it, but it's, to me, a case of the story being so polished or so in tune with the way I see things that I can't see the problems anymore. And that's really what you need beta readers. You need another pair of eyes to see the story from a different point of view. Now, that being said, this is the way I like to revise stories, okay? I like to go through it in passes through various formats as a way to not get used to the writing. Because the last thing you want is to stop looking at the writing and just looking at what you are reading. If that makes any sense. I'll explain myself what I'm trying to get to. The first time I revised this story, because I write on a software that doesn't do autocorrect, because that just distracts me from the writing process. So my first pass, I just dump it into like MS Word or a program with autocorrect, and I go page by page fixing all of the misspellings. Once that's done, I plop it in Evernote, and I do one formal read of the book alongside all of my notes. I look at the notes for that chapter before reading the chapter, and I make sure to fix the problems that I made a note of during the writing process. If other issues come to mind as I'm writing, I make sure to add notes and go back and fix those things as I'm doing the process. The first pass, if you may, is more just a matter of fixing things and to take effect to the notes that I made during the writing process. Once that first pass is done, I like to do another pass, reading the story one more time, making sure that I didn't miss any of my notes and that everything is up to par. Also, during this second pass, I like to take a note of the theme of the story, like I mentioned, and just note, this chapter dealt a lot with X, and this chapter dealt a lot with X, and I just try to make a little map of the feelings in my book. Now, once that second pass is done, I like to do a physical draft. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, Max, this is a lot of work. Yeah, I like my stories to be as polished as possible. I print the story out, and then I do a physical revision where I read through the book and I, mark out lines that need to be cut. I do fixes because reading it on the screen is different than reading it on paper, and I like to do all of those medium changes to be able to keep myself from just looking at the words and instead look at the writing itself. I hope that makes sense. Once the physical review is done, I make all of the edits, of course, on the main digital file, and I like to do something a little weird, okay? This is really effective if you have a Mac. Otherwise, you may have to look for a program on Windows. Macs happen to have actually text-to-speech, and you can actually create a custom binding on the settings, and that's what I like to use. Once I have done the 3 passes, I like to listen to the story. I actually turn text-to-speech on, and I have the computer read the story to me. Yes, it sounds a little robotic, but this is the best way to catch confusions between things like there and there. There as in the location, and there as in like they. Once that is done, I like to actually read the book again digitally on my tablet or on my phone, and make sure that there's nothing I've missed. By this point, by the Fifth pass. By this point, I can't find anything wrong with the story. I've read the story so much and I've worked so hard on it that I am basically able to recite the first chapter from memory. And even to this point, I can recite the first chapters of a lot of my books from memory. It's kind of silly. But that's what you need to do to make the most polished book possible. Now, if you're asking me, once again, how many drafts does it take? Well, that's 2 digital reads, 1 physical read, 1 auditory read, I guess, the computer's reading it to me, and 1 final read. So that is 5 drafts before anybody else sees the book. Does that sound like a lot of work? I getcha. It is actually a lot of work now that I'm sharing it with somebody, but that's what you have to do though. And to be entirely honest, by the time I make it to the auditory read, I'm really only fixing like 1 or 2 words every chapter, just the little words that you miss. And when I'm doing the final read, I like to call it the casual read, because there ends up being no problems whatsoever, or no problems that I can see. That seemed like a really long-winded answer, but yeah, I tend to do 5 drafts or 5 revisions in different formats. That is my main point. You don't want to keep rereading the same pages, because I find myself that I end up focusing on the words as opposed to the writing. Have I been switching back and forth on that? I think I have been switching back and forth on that. You know what I mean though, right? Focusing on what you're saying as opposed to what is on the page. Of course, it should go without saying that even through these 5 drafts, I end up realizing later that I've made mistakes. Why is that? Well, I think it's a matter of perception. I think that you work so long on one project that you end up ignoring things. Because, for you as the writer, you picture the world in your head as you are writing it, and you may not have put all of the details on the page. Like, for instance, I realized in some of my books that I just completely forgot to describe the protagonist in the first chapters of the book. And isn't that kind of funny? From my point of view, I thought that I had done my job, but my beta readers revealed to me that I had forgotten to describe my protagonist. And isn't that kind of funny? I think it is. Ultimately, it's all just a matter of perception. Now, of course, I don't want you to feel discouraged that after 5 drafts of work, your book is not going to be perfect, but that's the nature of work, though. I mean, you can't expect, 5 drafts to be perfection, and really, even more drafts after that, my books are, even now published, my books are not perfect, but perfection doesn't really exist. Now, I hope that helps. I hope that answer is not very discouraging. I know that it sounds like a lot of work, and it is a lot of work, but as I've mentioned in the past, I am in this business to tell the best stories possible. And if that takes a lot of extra work, then I will do all of that extra work. I want my stories to be as great as they can be. Because ultimately, readers end up reading stories once. And I want that first impression to be as best as possible. I hope that helps. I really do hope that helps. I hope it's not as daunting as I think it is now that I have shared my process with somebody else. Of course, you don't have to do my process. Of course, you can find a process of your own. Consider my advice to be a toolbox, and you can take the tools you want and throw all the other tools away. That's fine. Find a process that works for you. Maybe you are a totally awesome and really attentive person, and you are able to find all the problems in your novel, all of the preliminary problems in your novel, within 2 or 3 drafts. That's fine. That's perfect. If it works for you. I myself have dyslexia, which is one of those things that I have to make up for during the revision process. I do find that I skip words and I flip syntax in some sentences while I'm writing, and I don't notice it. So, again, find the process that works for you. I empower you to find your own revision process, one that is perfect for your writing style. I hope that helps. And with that out of the way, it's time to talk about something a lot less happy and a lot less exciting. If you would like to turn off the video, that's entirely fine. I will not judge you for it, and I know that most people don't end up watching the update part, so that's fine. It's cool. That's why I have the annotations. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to. So, some of you following me on Twitter have noticed that I have been pretty quiet about my word count, and that is because everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked on Thursday. I wish that was a joke, but it's not. What happened on Thursday? Thursdays are pretty bad for me because I'm out of the office all day and I don't get home until like 11. So it's already a pretty bad day. I only had like an hour to write, and that's a pretty bad time to write regardless. And I'm out of the office, I'm out and about, and it's like 9 in the morning. It's 9 in the morning, I'm out of the office, and I get an email. I get an email, a really bad email, business stuff, unhappy, the worst part of this business, which are business emails. And I had to come to terms with the reality that someone could very easily shut down my blog without my consent, without me being able to do anything about it. So yeah, that was really depressing. I'm out of the office. It's like 9 in the morning, and I'm like, what? And I rush to a coffee shop and I open up my tablet, because I'm on my tablet, which is really limited on what it can do. And I'm like, okay, what can I do about this right now? And I spend like 2 hours, more than I should have, getting back to people and taking care of a few things on my blog that I should have taken care of years ago, and it's just kind of disheartening. And then I got home at 11 and then worked until 4 in the morning cleaning stuff and on my blog, and then woke up at 7 and then worked until 12. So that was a day and a half. Literally a day and a half, now that I think about it. It was interesting. The worst part of having things to do, legal things to do, is not being able to do them on the spot. I was miserable all day on Thursday. What does that have to do with anything? And I have to like banish away some worries. I don't think that my blog is getting shut down. I've done everything that should clear me up. I guess I value transparency, so let me tell you what happened. 2 years back, I posted an unsourced piece of art, like 2 years ago, like back in 2012. I was a foolish person back then, and I posted an unsourced piece of art, and I never took it down, and I got a copyright strike from Tumblr. And it's the sort of thing where you can't get many of those. So that's bad. It was really bad and really disheartening to hear that something stupid that I did years ago could ruin the blog that I've been working so hard on. And I hope that's not like too much information. I value transparency and honesty, so I thought that I would share with you what has been troubling me these last couple of days. So you can imagine hearing news that your blog could easily be shut down over some silly, dumb, careless thing you did years ago. That totally changes your mood. It didn't help that I had tons of work on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and today, I've been trying to shoot this update for like 2 hours, and my neighbor's car keeps going on and on and on and on, and it's disheartening. It really is disheartening. So, that was a bit of a wake-up call, I guess. It's just, I was sad because I was talking to other people, and they were like, can they just do that? And I'm like, they've shut down big blogs for just making stupid mistakes like this. And a lot of them were like, well, even if it does happen, you probably just get back on your feet because, you are the sort of person who can overcome things like this. And I know that was supposed to be a compliment, but that didn't make me feel better. I was like, oh man, I'm happy that you all think that I will be able to survive this, but man, I don't want to. I put a lot of work in the blog, so to hear that it could all just poof away is just really, really disheartening. Really sad. And I don't want this video to be all about sadness and despair and never-ending pits of sadness and despair. I'm going in circles. It's because the pit is circular. I have to be going in circles. No. So it took me out of my mind frame, out of the mind frame for creating and for making art, and it didn't help that I had a lot of work to take care of. These last couple of days have just been really hard for me to work, really hard for me to create. And it's funny because it was Thursday. On Thursday, I was going to be reading King of Fools, and I thought that for Friday it would be cool if I actually read you the opening chapter of King of Fools, and that would be cute and fun. And I wanted to write a silly and lighthearted story, and I'm not feeling either silly or lighthearted right now, so I don't know. I am going through a lot of things in my head right now, and it's a sort of thing where it's like, I love writing, but the business side of things is always incredibly boring for me. So it's right now I have to deal with all of these business things, and I spent like a combined 8-9 hours just cleaning the blog, just doing everything to the best of my power to make sure that my blog was safe and that you guys would continue having content. And I was just so exhausted by like Friday night that I didn't feel like writing. And it's funny because once again, I found myself wondering, well, if it was somebody else, would I give them the leeway? Or is it just that I'm just being too hard on myself? And I'm being hard on myself, and I know that I am, but I wanted to do so much this NaNoWriMo. Sorry, coffee. I wanted to do so much this NaNoWriMo, and things keep happening, and it's just been a little disheartening, and I've been trying to keep my spirits up. As I've mentioned, of course, this experience has been a bit of a wake-up call, primarily because I've been having a lot of issues with Tumblr recently, which is only, it's not nice when you work so hard, and I get tons of sweet messages, and I still have to deal with bad things. It's just unfortunate. Aside from that, though, it just kind of made me realize how much I want to be doing more YouTube stuff regardless. Once again, we can just basically consider this to be the transparency and honesty episode. Because there's one question that I've been getting for months now, and I'm going to tackle it right now because people have been asking about it. Why haven't I been doing more text replies? Because I used to write like essays. People would send me questions and I would write like a long essay explaining all of these points and counterpoints, and I haven't been doing that. Why? Well, because those replies took hours to make. I would have to write them and then revise them and then make sure that my point actually made sense and that I wasn't just rambling. And by the end, it would be like an hour and a half to write one reply. And that wasn't only not time effective, because I had a lot of things to do in the day, but also the post was just going out there and it was going to be broadcasted to a pool of followers and then never be seen again. That's kind of how posts work on Tumblr. They just get buried eventually in your dashboard. And I decided to switch that to answering questions on YouTube because, one, it's a lot easier to find and it's a lot easier for people to continue ingesting content, and because I also make money from them. You make money from YouTube videos, Max? I do. I make very little right now, but I was actually approved by Google to be partner. Is that the correct term? I'm actually making money through my YouTube videos. I just got approved like 3 days ago, which was like the one piece of good news. So, does that sound bad? I mean, I know that a lot of people don't like the idea of creators making content for their money from their content, which is really weird now that I'm saying it out loud. But I mean, I have bills to pay and rent to make, and I'm pretty sure that if I'm not living out of a cardboard box outside, you guys benefit as well, right? So I hope that's not something that turns a lot of people off. I value honesty and transparency. So that's really the reason why I've switched to doing these sort of answer video formats, because one, you get my silly face and you get to see me how I say things, because I find that text replies are problematic because you don't hear how people are saying things. So I value that for this, and it also provides me another source of income that would cement my living certainty, because I certainly do like being alive and not living on a card box outside on the streets. So I just want to pause and make sure that you all understand that I don't think anything's going to be happening to the blog. I've done everything in my power. I've sent emails. I've talked to everyone I know about it. I think I'm on the safe side now as opposed to the unsafe side. I don't know. I think I'm safe now for the time being. I don't think I'm going to be making any dumb mistakes anymore in the foreseeable future or ever. Like posting unsourced art 2 years ago. I was a lot foolish back then. I was just a wee lass back then. I didn't know better. I know better now, though, so if anything, consider this a warning to never do anything stupid on the internet. And you also know now that I want to be doing more YouTube stuff. I actually want to focus on making YouTube stuff, and I want to make YouTube a better home for the things that I do. Additionally, I'm not saying that this could happen, I just said that it would not, I don't think so, but if anything does happen to my blog, I do recommend that you follow me on YouTube and on Twitter, just in the case that something was to happen, you would not be devoid of a way to find me again. I know that that's like a really dramatic thing to say, but I kind of mean it for the time being, so. Aside from all of that, of course, since I've made it kind of clear that I want to be doing more YouTube content, so how about you take a moment, I would really appreciate it, if you could leave me a comment with the sort of videos you would like me to do. I have like a big post that I want to be doing over the next days. I'm not sure if I'm going to have the time because Thanksgiving, but I have a lot of ideas for content and inspirational stuff. But if you have any sort of video that you would like me to do, any sort of featurette, or just a video series idea, please take the time to share it with me. It would mean the world to me. I want to make a lot more YouTube stuff like a video a day is like the goal I want to shoot for. So help me get there, you know, share your comments with me, share your ideas with me, and I promise that I will look over them. This has been like a really downer of an episode, and I don't want it to be like that. I would like to take a moment and apologize for the downer that this episode has been. I didn't want it to be like this, but I feel like this is what it has turned out to be. And I'm sorry about that. This has nothing to do with Nano, it's just life getting in the way. And right now, I'm just not in the writing mind frame. Thankfully, like, shoujo turned out to be like 45,000 words, so I'll figure something out. I have another video that I'm going to be uploading probably on the same day that this goes up. It's going to be a really weird video that my artist came up with, and we'll see. I'm going to see if I can work out something for me to write. It's going to be an interesting adventure, and we're going to figure it out together. Aside from that, though, I want to thank you. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching this video and putting up with my depressing moment at this very moment of life and stuff. These last few days have been really discouraging and really disheartening, and that's what happens sometimes. But the thing that we need to do the most is not allow these things to push us down, to bug us down, to keep us down. We just have to keep going forward. For now, I think that, again, there should be another video. I'm going to make a video basically just me trying to brainstorm what I want to write next. Because I'm not in the mood for King of Fools. I don't want to start a new series. I don't want to make a standalone. And I don't feel like writing a sequel right now. So I will figure something out. I will figure something to write. I'll figure something to make. Because, I mean, really, I'm not going to stop writing over this. I'm going to keep writing, keep making books, keep making stories, and keep making videos. So I hope that you all have enjoyed this silly experience with me. As always, if you did enjoy it though, make sure to give it a like, it does mean the world to me, and subscribe if you want more. If you have questions of your own, and of course comments and ideas for future episodes, or questions for the next upcoming videos, I will be doing NaNoWriMo Care Packages anyway, by the way. I'm not stopping, you all love them, and I have found that it means a lot to you to see my silly face and hear my comments and my thoughts, so you will keep getting that, no question about it. There should be at least 3 more updates and you will get them, and I promise you that. That being said, of course, if you would like even more writerly content, you should head over to my blog for the time being, I guess. That's so sad. Let's do that one more time, okay? Once again, if you would like even more writerly content, if you would like even more writerly content, you should head over to my writing blog over at maxkieran.tumblr.com for your daily dose of writing advice, writing prompts, writing positivity, and more. Thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with my rather depressing update. I promise you that things will get better. I will find the way, and I will find a story to tell. And until then, I'll see you next time. Mwah! I hope that update wasn't too depressing. I've been having a really tough week, and I realized that I didn't give away any max points during that entire video because I was just so tired and haven't been feeling so well. And also, during the entire video, I kept expecting my neighbor's car to just start going off and on and on and on. And that is like, it's the worst because, as the video kept going, I was like, oh man, I'm like 20 minutes into this video. If this car goes off right now, everything's gone to hell again. And that's even worse. Nothing makes a video hard to shoot than thinking that it could end at any minute. That's just really sad. That being said though, what am I going on about? Thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with me. This has been a really odd video. Not a happy video, I'm sorry to say that, but the good times are coming. The good days are coming, friend. We just have to keep being strong, keep writing, and just keep doing the things that make us happy, okay? You keep writing, you keep telling your stories, and I'll keep telling mine, okay?